Asherlo. It's a grand.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, to another, admittedly slightly delayed episode of What's on the Box.
It's part of our thing now. We have just delayed episodes because we did an episode for with Kazi. We got a bit delayed, but hey, look, this is not about getting those early views. Clearly,
no. This is about views being somewhere. You'll find it in the week, probably.
Yeah. Also, I will say it's my fault that we're delayed. I was playing some Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and I lost literal track of time and the universe and everything that's in it. And I was running away from an imp that was chasing me in a forest. That was not Oblivion. That was just in real life.
I would have recorded the episode on my own, except for the fact that I don't think I would have talked about this episode on my own.
No, you weren't a big fan, no?
This episode, so far, we haven't introduced ourselves. I'm Kevin, this is Dan. Welcome back
and this is What's in the Box.
What's on the box? My opinion on this episode, before we get into it, I thought this was the most mid episode that has been released so far.
Yeah.
I was not a huge fan.
Yeah. Which is weird because Titania has shown up like twice now in character.
Yeah.
And like the first time, you could say she had an explosive entry into the episode. She literally came into the core, destroyed buildings, and started attacking. And then we've had her show up in this. And with each one, it's like, oh, cool, we're going to see something from her now. And we really don't. Like, she didn't use any powers in this one. We still haven't really been explained where she gets her powers from.
That's the Marvel. We just accept people have powers now, I think.
Yeah, I think in the comics, and tell me if I'm wrong, I think she gets her powers because they tried to recreate She-Hulk at one stage. Well, that might be another She-Hulk.
I think in the comics she was made by Dr. Doom.
That's right. Yeah.
And I don't think it was specifically a She-Hulk thing. I think it was just him being like, I want to make a superpower woman because I'm Dr. Doom and I'll just do things.
Doom does what he wants.
Yeah.
God, just give me like a slice of life Doom Marvel TV show. Like I'd watch the fuck out of that.
I think you've requested this on this podcast before.
That exactly was I've requested just Doom in general, but have I requested like a slice of life Doom show?
I'm either you've requested it on this podcast or we've just talked about it before.
Oh, but it would be amazing. I know, I know there could be people who are Doom fans who are like, oh, we want him in the big, majestic fucking cinema event he deserves. And he does deserve that, 100%. But I would like him just hanging out in Latveria. You know what I love? Like, his inner dialogue is actually kind of terrified a little bit of, like, him being a leader. But outside, he's still pure classic Doom. You know?
You know what? I'm just realizing. I think this was a private conversation, and I think your exact pitch was, "What if we made The West Wing, but with Doctor Doom and Latveria?" I think that was your pitch.
Yeah. That. I'm telling you, it'd be a great show. I personally believe there are not many shows that you can take and like breed this with The West Wing, and it wouldn't make a cool show. Genuinely, Like, you take Star Wars. If you give it Star Wars West Wing, I know there's going to be, we did with the prequels. No, you know what I mean. I want Palpatine be the one that walks down corridors quickly while, like, Jedi's come up to him and say, oh, Palpatine, what do we do here? Ukraine. I know. I haven't watched West Wing in a while.
Wait, so Palpatine deals with the Ukraine crisis?
Have you seen what's been going on?
Not personally.
Well, there you go. I think you'll just have to take me at faith.
Okay. So if I see a Death Star orbiting above Earth, I shouldn't worry about it?
It's a very small Death Star. It's just for Ukraine.
I think it's a moon.
By the way, we love you, Ukraine. This is a terrible, stupid joke.
For all of the viewers who are definitely watching from Ukraine.
Look, there could be one Ukrainian soldier who's just holding on to life because of our podcast about She-Hulk, alright?
I hope that this episode doesn't doesn't like cause him to lose the grip.
What? You tell me that the IMDb ratings are very low on She-Hulk? How can the world abandon us?
Yeah. So. Oh god, I don't even know how to fucking go on from that.
So the reason we're talking about it, I guess, because we talked a little bit before the podcast, I've only become aware of it recently. How much people don't like this show? Like, I knew it wasn't everyone's favorite. I knew not everyone was watching it. I knew there were a lot of bigots there. Now, saying that, I'm not going to say everyone who's voted low on this is a bigot. The show is definitely not for everyone, and it's not always perfect. It really isn't. But at the same time, this episode got 5.4 out of 10. And I think it kind of deserves it, to be honest, this episode.
Yeah, this episode in particular deserved the 5.4.
Yeah.
Despite, like, actually continuing a plot line from the previous episode, which not many of the episodes have super done.
Hey, Kevin, did you know Daredevil's helmet was in this?
Oh, you mean the one thing that anyone is talking about right now, even people who aren't actively watching the show?
And did you know it's yellow? For people who can't see me right now, which is everyone, because I am alone in a room, those were quotation marks because I'm being sarcastic. I hate how the color of the helmet. Now, again, it might be the lighting. Maybe the lighting's terrible in that room. You'd hope not. It is a Disney show and they have money, but you know.
Yeah, no. I mean, to be fair, I think most people are of this opinion. The yellow Daredevil suit is not a good suit in the comics.
Yeah.
You know?
It's kind of like the reverse. Go on.
I was just going to say, there's just some suits from comics that don't translate well, and usually they include the color yellow.
Interestingly, though, how many fans have you seen over the years go, "We want Wolverine in his proper comic costume," and you do?
Yeah, we do. That one breaks the rule. That's a good yellow.
Yeah, just like a real Wolverine.
I think it's. I'm gonna say I think it's probably better because there's like the black is in it as well.
Yeah.
The black stripes make it work.
Also, it's kind of classic. I mean, look at it this way, right? Let's say Batman didn't exist, and Batman was made nowadays, and it was a dude in a bat costume. The way he looks, you go, "Oh, okay." You know, it has established itself. I think it's fair to say.
It like you need to have you need to start out with like, oh, that suit's kind of dumb, but it's like old.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a part of just the general unconscious, and we become used to it in our heads. And now it's to the point where it has to be accurate, or else we're annoyed.
Yeah.
It has to look like the silly, stupid like man dressed like a bat.
Yeah.
Or else we don't agree with it.
You know, just talking about costumes and stuff, and we'll go into the story in a second, I'm sure. But I will say, the one thing I like about this episode is, now that I'm on IMDb, I like the name of this episode.
What was the name of it again?
Mean Green and Straight Poured Into Those Jeans.
Oh, no. Yeah. That was just a quote from the last episode.
Yeah. But I like it. It's a good episode name, you know? But yeah, Kevin, tell me all about Edna Mode.
Edna Modes. So I'm going to assume that you're speaking about the fashion designer part of the plot here.
The Drip Lord, wasn't it? Or the Drip?
The Drip Broker is a different character that we're not introduced to.
Is that not him?
No, that's a different guy. Basically, the lawyer guy has a drip broker who sends him to, like, oh, this is where you can get this cool fashion stuff. And he knows a guy who does superhero fashion, and he's going to send me there. So he sent him to this boba tea shop, and he's like, hey, we're the drip broker sent us. And he's like, here's some fucking shoddy Avengers merch. And he's like, no, we're here for the real shit. We know an Avenger, and then they get sent to a different guy who seems to have been written for Keegan-Michael Key, but he didn't take the job. My first thought was like, did they write this for specifically Key and Peele? Because
Yeah.
he seems like exactly a character he'd play.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But yeah, so basically
He's
he's
the
this
highlight, I think. I quite like the character.
I do. I think he was the better part of the episode for sure.
Yeah.
To be fair, I just like the idea that there is like these new specialty jobs in superhero worlds.
Yeah.
Like Edna Mode and this guy whose name is I'm just gonna look it up here.
Luke Jacobson.
Yeah, Luke. Yeah, it's Luke Jacobson. Yeah, I think so. But both him and Edna, not that Edna's canon in the MCU yet.
Yes.
But Disney owns The Incredibles. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay to just assume that this is her nephew. To be honest.
Yeah. But they're both superhero fashion designers.
Yes.
Who design suits for superheroes. Now, it does make you think the question of how does he get in touch with the superheroes to make the suits?
I say Shield. I say Shield back in the day because I mean, look at Captain America's suit. That changed constantly.
Yeah. So do you think he might have used to work for Shield before it broke up?
I don't think he necessarily worked for Shield. I'd say he worked adjacent with them. You know, he probably was a fashion designer. He might have maybe he did some military like uniforms, and they just brought him over, kind of like Tony Stark. Like Tony Stark didn't build the Iron Man suit because he worked with Shield, but Shield brought him into the fold afterwards.
Yeah,
you know.
I will say about this. I think the biggest missed opportunity here. So like we'll go into like a lot more Easter eggs, but there's like an Easter egg in the credits where there's like a bunch of shoes around that have like different superhero references. But why didn't they make those references in Luke's office? There's one reference in Luke's office, but they didn't make any other like supervillain references at all.
Do you want to talk about references, by the way, because
the shoe references?
Yeah, because there's quite some interesting ones there.
Yeah, so in the credits they have the little water paintings, and one of the water paintings is a reference to the shitty lawyer guy who buys branded shoes that are based off of every different like superhero in world.
Yeah.
And there's like a full fucking list.
I have the list here as well if you need it.
I have some of them in front of me as well.
Yeah.
So like most obvious one to me, like I think this one kind of stares you in the face, and then you'll see the rest.
Yeah.
Is Deadpool. That one to me is the most obvious.
Yeah, I think look, everyone recognizes Deadpool these days. Yeah. He's very in vogue. Some interesting ones here. Again, I'm looking at a list, obviously, of people who guessed what some of these were, so I'm not, 100% on board necessarily, but someone made a point that America Chavez, her jacket at the back with the star and all that they're strange separate. I could say that's probably just Captain America.
It's kind of hard to differentiate their brands.
Yeah, but interestingly, we have some Spider-Man stuff. There's Electros in there as well. Classic Electro as well, like horrible green yellow suit Electro. And I'm sure I'm offending someone out there who loves Electro, but
you're offending me. But yeah,
I mean, I am right. Don't get me wrong. I love that suit. I love that suit, but it's horrible.
Only because it's got yellow in it, isn't it?
And the horrible neon green. I don't know. I would have gone with maybe a more of a golden yellow with some black, because that's what usually electric warning labels have on. I don't know any electric warning labels that use green and yellow. I
mean, it's better than dumb blue Electro. I will not fight anyone on this because I'm objectively correct. Ultimate Electro sucks.
Yeah.
I hate the stupid I'm naked in blue Electro. Fucking wear a suit.
Yeah. What did you think of Electro in the movies then?
In the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I fucking hated it. I didn't hate it that much because they actually put him in a suit.
Yeah.
So I didn't hate it that much. it was still, I would have preferred the old one. And then in fucking No Way Home, they tried their best to emulate like old Electro while updating it.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate them for doing that. I don't think it was perfect, but I really appreciate the sentiment.
Yeah.
But enough talked about Electro, who's not relevant at all to this this episode. There's some more interesting names in the shoes.
Yes.
Is a phrase I didn't think I'd say today. So other than Deadpool, I think the big references that are kind of hitting you in the face are Cyclops, and the Thing.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
No, there's the Thing in that credit sequence.
Yeah, and there's a few others. I'll just quickly shoot some. This Ghost Rider is there's Namor, Man Thing, the Mole from the Thing, as well. Green Goblin, all that. Here's a thing. I said it again. I really don't mean it. It's not me making a joke. So he's designing these shoes, right? Etnamold's nephew.
I don't think he's the one explicitly designing these shoes. I think these are just branded shoes.
But
because they were part of a different thing.
Oh yeah, because they only give out a pair of shoes per person. Okay, yeah. So he has nothing to do with that. Okay, but it doesn't really matter. Beyond that, so here's the question. Like, obviously, look, this is a mid-credit scene.
It's not even a mid-credit scene. It's like a credit, fucking image. Like slideshow.
Yeah, it genuinely means nothing. To be fair,
yeah, I would say this is like if you're going to take this as canon, you take this with the biggest grain of salt that you can pick up, because there's more. I do not think this is canon.
There's more salt than canon here. All right.
Yeah.
But okay, but let's say this is canon because it has the characters in it. It's shown in a Marvel TV show, which is canon, and these are. Again, these look like court paintings, like done in court. So someone in that universe is drawing them, or it's represented to us because it's a law show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think these heroes might be active on the down low? That's it.
I think there is the potential for that, because if you look in, there's a few references here of heroes that aren't like big public knowledge. There's Moon Knight shoes here.
Yeah.
Moon Knight isn't a big name. He's not in like any team ups. He's in some London flat. Like he appeared once in London Street, and that's his only major appearance in the entire world of the MCU, and yet he has a pair of shoes here.
Here's a question. Do you think this is like the people who are selling these shoes? Do you think it's is it like Nike that's selling special editions? Or do you think it's more of a customizable thing? It's like there are only 100 pairs of these shoes made for each one, and it's a small company that makes big bucks by selling them at a high price.
I think it's definitely it could go either way. I think it's probably we're enforcing rarity on these shoes.
Yeah.
Because this is definitely the kind of shit that they'd make people pay stupid money for.
The thing is, I'm asking is do you think this is actually a real big company that's doing the limited thing, or do you think it's a small group of people who are doing this? Because that exists in real life. There are a lot of people who customize shoes for a living. Like, they buy official pairs and they customize them and sell them, and they make big bucks. These people are considered ancient wizards on top of mountains, forgotten by time. That is a thing. It's a big thing in Japan and stuff. So, do you think the limited run works like that? And the reason I'm saying is I understand if it's a personal passion project. I could imagine someone keeping an eye out for any sort of superhero, looking at every forum site, every low-key thing, and getting anything they can and creating these. I don't imagine Nike making Moon Knight trainers. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. No, this I'd say this is probably more independent then.
Yeah.
That said, I'm not sure we can say that for certain because, like you said, this isn't exactly canon.
No, it's not. No.
So like we can't exactly this specific image. If this were a shot that they showed us in the episode where he walked into a room and showed off all his custom like shoes, then yes, I'd say that probably a small company is on the lookout for all these different superheroes.
Yeah.
And is like selling them off. That said, there's probably like a copyright issue in there, because as this episode states, people have to copyright their own superhero name in this universe.
Yeah. And should we go into that a little bit? Because I think it's the least interesting part of the plot, but we may as well talk about it if we'll talk about this episode.
Yeah, so we talked about shoes for a very long time. We should probably talk about actual like law stuff, given that this is a show about a superhero lawyer.
Yeah.
So this case is, I think, the least interesting case of the show so far.
Yeah.
And it's basically Titania, the villain from the first episode, has made an entire cosmetics brand named She-Hulk.
And she's even used in such a way that in meta telling, the show's intro was changed to She-Hulk by Titania.
By Titania.
Yeah, which I liked. That was just a nice bit of fun, you know?
That was cute, yeah. And so, the whole episode, not the whole episode, the A plot of the show is basically She-Hulk has to go to court. She's not representing herself. She's being represented by a lawyer from another episode, who is basically trying to say that you can't use this because this is how my client is represented, and has been represented since before you put the trademark in, and they're trying to prove it otherwise. And it's a very dull copyright case that I actually predicted in the last podcast.
And her character actually, I think in the comics now, and please anyone tell me if I'm wrong, she actually she becomes a rival of She-Hulk, and she eventually actually, I think she's actually the one that is made into an alternative She-Hulk. I think Red Hulk actually at some stage. But again, I haven't read the comics. I kind of want to read comics. The show's kind of tickled that interest in me, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the Red She-Hulk, but I do know that she is She-Hulk's legal rival in the comics. She's like the face that never lost a case is her nickname or something.
Yeah.
And I did bring her up in a previous episode when I was speculating on who the big villain might be. Yeah. I do kind of lean towards one of them more than the other now.
Yeah. Because in this it just seems like Jen has kind of a girl crush on her more than anything.
Yeah.
She wants to really be friends with her.
Yeah. I'm actually wondering, like, what the fuck they're planning on doing there. Yeah. Like, is she gonna just be weird in the next episode? Like, hey, want to hang out? Like, do you want to go for coffee or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't. Like, I don't know. But yeah, so they do the whole legal case, and basically they just have to prove that She-Hulk uses She-Hulk outside of her work, and that is really dry for me,
because it's literally just a few clips from previous shows, previous episodes. Like, it's just like there's one where she comes out of the court and says, "I am not She-Hulk. Stop calling me that. I don't like that." And then later on, it's just like, "Hey, look, it's something that I have to now identify as. It's people have made me this, and for all intents and purposes, yes, I am She-Hulk." And then they use her terrible dating history, which was actually kind of fun as well, I guess.
Yeah, it makes the dating montage in the last episode like actually matter. And I'm not sure if I like that more or not. But they just show She-Hulk made a dating profile as She-Hulk. She's using that to get dates, and then she brings everyone up and has them talk about how she talks about how she's She-Hulk.
Yeah.
On the date, and she went to the date as She-Hulk.
Remember the guy who was asking about the vibranium?
Yeah.
Some people have a theory that he's part of the Wrecking Crew.
Mm.
Because he tried to pierce her. The guy the wrecking tried to pierce her skin to get, her blood, and then he asked her out on a date. What could pierce her skin? And now he showed up again, and he's apparently going to be showing up in the Marvel Universe over and over again as well. So
is he?
Apparently he's meant to be like this like loser version of Tony Stark. He's just totally rich and he just shows up in annoying places.
Guys, we have Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, I know. Bring Sam Rockwell back. Fucking hell, please. But there's a fair point to that. Like that. This could be the guy who's been trying to get her blood, and he's been going on dates trying to find out would vibranium work.
I'm going to say that if that's true, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed.
Why is that?
Because I'd Mephisto'd myself. I'm kind of convinced that it's going to be the leader in some way.
He could be working for the leader. He could be paying the leader. Like he could be like one of the billionaires that gives him money to do shit.
True. I just want the leader because to those of us who are in the know about recent Marvel news, very, very big news for people who were interested to know what happened to the fucking leader.
Yeah.
He's been announced for the next Captain America movie.
Yeah.
To which I say, why is he in the Captain America movie and not a Hulk movie?
Because the Hulk serum was based on the Captain America serum, even though Captain America, who used that serum, is not in the show anymore. And also in MCU, they didn't use the Hulk thing.
No, but they have the other super soldier in it. What's his name? He was in Falcon and Winter Soldier. The old guy. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Jebediah or something. I don't know. Sorry. I know I'm probably pissing on people's very much loved character. You
seem to love him when we watched that show.
I
before,
did,
but
I'm going to be honest with you. Most of that show has now dwindled into nothingness in my head.
Yeah. Ooh, I can't wait till we reach the end of She-Hulk and have to place how we rank it against the rest of the MCU shows.
Yeah. At least we don't have that much to rank. But yeah, and I heard this talk as well about his grandson taking over the role of the guy who had the super soldier serum as well. So maybe
Patriot was his name. I think it was the superhero name was Patriot or something like that.
I'm not sure. Again, it's great whether we remember these things in the show, but I really feel like we should probably look these things up before.
I will say I don't think he was named Patriot in the show. I think that's his comic book name.
Yeah.
So he might get named it later.
Yeah, I've heard rumors that the grandson might be taking over, and he seemed to show up in that show a little bit. So yeah. But yeah. So we see the dudes dating again. Not them dating together. Even if they date, they make a lovely trouble. But yeah, like the dude about the lifting was all like, she kept talking about it like it's so impressive, or something along the lines of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I thought he was the funniest one to return.
Yeah, I guess Sleazy McSleazyton, who thought she was a New Yorker, just didn't show up today.
Yeah, what was it me or was there like I can't remember because I watched this episode 2 days ago. And I actually can't remember. Was there like an extra guy there? Because I feel like I've Mandela affected myself into thinking there was another guy there who I didn't remember.
I don't remember another guy, but fair enough.
Anyway, I'm probably imagining it.
Yeah. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Before we go to the Drip Broker. Oh well, actually, the Drip Broker. He has a lot of like merchandise that are like off merchandise, like obviously merchandise like that Marvel definitely has squashed real life people to do. But a lot of the Hulk ones have mustaches. Do you think this is like a subtle Red Hulk is coming?
Maybe, but it feels a bit weird to do that.
Because,
given
the actor's passed.
The actor's passed, so that's a weird one.
I also him,
They could still replace him, yeah. The thing I noticed, I didn't even notice the mustache. The thing I noticed about the Hulk is that they made him purple.
Except in the Borat thong picture, there he is green. But both purple and green one do both have a mustache.
Yeah, but the thing that's interesting about Purple Hulk is if you're a particular fan of like really really bad movies, then you might be aware of a movie called The Incredible Bulk.
Oh, just go on.
In which a man is transformed into a giant purple monster man and goes on rampages. It is terribly animated. Everything is shot on a green screen. And the film, the last 10 minutes of it is all stock footage with the 3D model running into the distance past it.
Oh, God.
It has to be seen to be believed. And I really hope that the Purple Hulk here is a reference to the Incredible Bulk.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so the court scene happened as well. Let's just go back quickly to that.
Yeah.
And it basically proves that, this is my copyright, you're grand. Titanium says, this is the last you've seen of me, Batman, or Spider-Man, or whatever man, or woman. Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of where it leaves off. Also, up to that, afterwards, we see Jen go to Edna Mode's nephew, and he's made a couple of suits, as well as something a little extra. And she's like, "Oh, I don't think I'll be wearing this." He says, "Just say thanks, bitch." She said that.
Yeah.
And yeah,
if it was Keegan Michael Key would have said bitch.
Yeah, it's her purple and white superhero costume. Most likely, I think we've seen it in some
jumpsuit.
Yeah, I think we've seen it in some media coming up. So yeah, I mean, look, that's good. I don't really see her doing any massive superhero stuff in this show, to be honest.
The last episode, I see her fighting Titania, that'd be it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. She has suits now that will fit her when she's small and big.
I'm interested to see what that means, because I honestly didn't think the suits were that misfitting.
They're a bit 90s.
They're a bit 90s, but I didn't think they were that like unfashionable for a lawyer. Yeah. I don't know. I just see a suit and I'm like, yeah, that's a lawyer. Yeah. I mean, when she's not in She-Hulk form and it's all baggy, then yeah, I get it. But
the reason they're doing it is, she's a lawyer, but she's also a representative of a whole new branch of lawyers about superheroes. She has to be an icon. They're going to put her in a purple suit. Let's be real.
Yeah. But yeah, so she's changing it. She's changing into that. We don't actually get to see her in it in this episode.
A lot is just dressing up, isn't it? This episode.
This episode very much feels like an in-between episode.
Yeah. Titania just quickly does like cosmetic stuff. Yeah.
And that's all that needs to be said about that.
I mean, I really would love to say more, but like they go to see her thing. There's fans who want to take pictures. Jen somehow gets pulled into taking pictures for fans.
She's too nice, so
yeah. And there's different types of cosmetics, and they're all the same, but they're not. Silly Jen don't understand the difference between, I don't know, Hulk antitoxin and face cream. Look, this is probably the most masculine I've ever sounded in my life. I don't know the difference either. Yeah,
I have to say, I don't understand why she didn't show up as She-Hulk.
Yeah, I suppose maybe it's because last time they met up, they had a fight in those forums, so maybe she just doesn't want to have a fight. So
I guess, but that was never explained. I don't know. This episode very much feels like a middle child episode.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because episode 5 of I think 9 episodes.
Yeah.
So we are getting into the latter half, and we have at least one thing to look forward to in the next 4 episodes. That we know for sure is happening.
Go on.
Which is at the end of the episode. We've already talked about it because the one thing that everyone's talking about this episode. At the end of the episode, we see the Daredevil helmet, which is a signifier to everyone that Daredevil's coming, which we already know because they put him in the trailer.
Interestingly, a thing about that in general is there is like this is not going to be a continuation of Netflix Daredevil. It's going to be the same actor and all that kind of stuff, but they've already said this isn't like season 4 or 5 of that show. This is a new show. I'm guessing what they'll probably do is do new things, but at the same time not decanonize anything that came before. They just won't reference it directly, that's all. That's
the safest bet, especially since those Netflix shows are now on Disney Plus, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So I think the safest bet for them is to just softly decanonize them, basically saying they didn't happen, but we're not going to say they didn't happen, and we're not going to do anything that outright disagrees with them.
If people still want to say these things happen, they'll fit in the new canon, no problem.
To be fair, I've always viewed those shows and stuff like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff as kind of soft canon, where everything they do is canon unless it conflicts with the main movies and such, in which case the main movies are canon and whatever the shows say is not.
Yeah.
I basically just take movies as the priority here.
Yeah. And I think that's how this entire franchise will work in general. It's kind of the same like with Doctor Strange. You know, I know people say, oh, no, you have to watch the entire show to understand what happened in the new Doctor Strange movie. You don't. Like, they basically do it again for the show anyway.
Yeah. Like, people brought up, like, a huge thing. It's like, oh, you need to watch this and this and this and this and this to watch this and enjoy it. It's like, no, you don't. You need to watch it and enjoy it to enjoy it. If you want the extra background information, go and get it. It's not like you need it.
No,
I will say Doctor Strange does have like, oh, why does Wanda want kids? Like, if you didn't watch WandaVision, that might be a bit like out of nowhere for you. But
she kind of explains it fairly quickly as well, you know.
Yeah, I mean they kind of brush past the I'm sorry about what happened in Westview.
Yeah.
But like it's not like a huge deal.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can enjoy at least series in their own thing. So look, like you can
this is the equivalent of when you're reading an older comic book that Stan Lee has written, and modern ones, where there's a little box saying this happened in issue 36 of Amazing Pooper Boy, and why this happened. Go off and read that if you want.
You know, I'd love if they released like fucking Blu-ray versions of this where you could put on like a version that has a little note saying what exactly they're referencing, like the old comics.
Yeah.
Like completely optional on the Blu-ray or whatever.
Or, just a suggestion here, Disney, you can send me the check. Do it on Disney Plus, where you see that note come up, and you can click it, and it'll put it onto your next playlist.
Yeah.
There you go.
Fucking easy enough, you know? Yeah. Hey, everyone gets in such a tizzy about the shared universe thing, like, oh, it's mandatory.
It's not.
It's not mandatory. You know, if you want to skip something, skip it. You know?
Honestly, it was
we don't skip anything because we're compulsive and weird.
Yeah, it was more mandatory in like Phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like Phase 1 was quite independent in general. Yeah. It was just them showing up at the end and saying, "Hey, we're in the same world. Oh, cool," and that's it. Then Phase 2 was all about, "Oh no, you have to understand this, this, and this, and what's going on here." This phase, it's more like, "Hey, you walked into the comic shop, pick yourself." You know, whichever hero you want. Do you need to understand all of it? Nah, not really. Mm-hmm. If you do, you can ask some questions. And there's a few boxes telling you where you can read if you want to learn more. That's what the MCU is now. And I think it's a healthy way to do it.
Yeah. And no one likes Phase 2 anyway.
Yeah, no, they don't.
I mean, what have we got? We've got Iron Man 3, which I think I'm one of the 5 people in the world who enjoys that movie.
Oh, no. I've been told I was wrong about hating Iron Man 3 because someone on my Facebook went and said, I've liked Iron Man since I was in diapers, and that was the best way to do Iron Man 3. And it's just like, I don't care if you watched it while you shat yourself last week, you know?
Well, I mean, it's interesting to know that there's another one of the 5 is in your Facebook feed. But,
yeah.
But What else? Thor: The Dark World, which I'm going to be honest, if you come at me and tell me Thor: The Dark World is a good movie, I'm going to think you are trolling me because it is not. And Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which a lot of people really like, I think it's a bit slow.
I think a lot of people like Winter Soldier because it feels like a spy movie. It actually feels a bit like a James Bond thriller meets Bourne Identity sort of vibe to it. And people like those movies. I love Bourne Identity, for example. I really enjoy those movies. But it's a little slow. It's less fantastical, you know?
I think if you're looking for a spy thriller set in the MCU, Secret Invasion is coming right up.
Yeah.
And I think that one looks really spy thrillery. But what else? Age of Ultron, which both of us like, but we can see faults for sure.
Yeah. I mean, look, I for example, I love Ultron and I love the character and the portrayal of it, but there's also some like stupid crap in there, you know.
Yeah. It's not the most cohesively done screenplay in the MCU. I'll say that. No. And then Ant-Man is technically a part of Phase 2. Despite coming out after Age of Ultron. Yeah. But I like Ant-Man. A lot
of people do. You don't feel guilty about liking Ant-Man. Most people like Ant-Man.
I'm only saying that because I know you don't like Ant-Man.
I think Ant-Man was the first movie I just saw the trailer off when I'm not going to watch that in cinema. And it was the first MCU movie I just didn't watch in cinema. I only watched the movie a few years afterwards. It's fine. It's just not for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. Like, not every movie is for every person. That's what we're talking about with She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Earlier, we did it. We looped it around. We have made a cohesive plot line.
I just want to bring this up. Kazi said in another one of our podcasts that maybe I just had bad taste because I enjoyed She-Hulk. Now, you've watched Splitting Hairs episodes with Kazi, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can you say that Kazi has good taste in movies? After listen to those Splitting Hairs episodes?
That's a difficult question to have to answer live on a podcast, man.
I'll take that as a yes. It's not as bad as the grilling I gave you last week about your girlfriend.
I would have rather talked about yak milk again, man.
Yeah, no one responded to the yak milk question. What the fuck? Come on, listeners. What's the story with the yak milk?
I don't want to go back into this, man. Not again.
Look, Kevin, should we mention the picture I sent you about the yak milk afterwards?
Oh god, the picture. I forgot about the fucking picture. Okay.
All I say is we won't go deep into this. We won't know because I don't want to become that kind of podcast. We have a Discord for that. There is a bull-like man, and I'm sure people are, oh my god, that's Curly Coo, the third in the Marvel series of blah blah blah. Sorry, I just don't know what his real name is.
When you said Curly Coo, I actually thought you knew his name or something. You said it with such confidence.
I was making up those syllables on the fly. But there's a yak man there, and I might have mentioned something about milking him. That's where we'll leave it.
Yeah,
we all lost that day.
But yeah, I think like this episode, other than Daredevil's mask, She-Hulk gets a suit. What happened in it?
Shoes.
I mean, we could just talk about other Marvel news and finish out this podcast.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go for it. You start talking, I'll start looking forward to some Marvel news.
Okay, so like I think firstly, Secret Invasion trailer. I think that looks cool. I think it looks pretty cool. Not sure why the Skrulls are the bad guys now, but it
might be a bit more grey than just, hey, they're bad guys.
Do you know what I'd love? And this is such a nerd thing to want, but as soon as I say it, I think you'll want it too. Do you remember the Zygon 2-parter in the Peter Capaldi season of Doctor Who?
Yeah.
If the show is that 2-parter, I would love it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think that was a really great way to do it. For people who haven't watched it, Zygons are shapeshifters. At one stage, they try to take over the Earth, but the Doctor basically made them sit down and talk with Unit, with Kate Stewart, and figure out some way to make peace and, both stay alive. And then there are some episodes that come later where it shows that not everyone was too cool with that deal.
Yeah, I think what they say in the episode, I can't remember for certain, but it's like a younger generation of insurrectionist Zygons.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, could be a good way of explaining what's happening with these Skrulls, because the last time we saw them was in the 90s. So I think this would definitely be the younger generation.
Yeah.
I think I'm really looking forward to Secret Invasion because there's a lot of possibilities and it's really tickling the Zygon inversion / Zygon invasion like itch that I didn't know I had. So Secret Invasion looks great. Werewolf by Night. I wasn't sure what to make of that one. That one just kind of... I forgot about it.
It's one of those things that I think a lot of people are going to love. It's that classic horror movie feel to it. This is definitely done for fans of those kind of movies. You know, I don't think it'll have any major repercussions. I hope they keep it in black and white. I hope it's not one of those bait switch things, you know?
Yeah, I really do hope it stays in black and white. I think some people, I haven't watched like trailer dissections, but like I think people have seen like Man-Thing it might be in it.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. There is like a team of horror monsters in the comics.
Yeah.
So it'd be really interesting if this becomes like a little side thing. Like every Halloween we get a new like monster movie in the MCU.
Yeah.
And then eventually we get a Halloween Monster Avengers. Kind of like the original cinematic universe of the Warner Brothers monster movies. But yeah, so I think that's interesting. I don't really have a lot to say about Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
They might reference Moon Knight because Moon Knight first appeared in a Werewolf by Night comic, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Or at least one of his earliest appearances was in one of them. As shown by a QR code you can scan in the second episode of Moon Knight.
Yeah, they keep doing that.
Yeah. Then we got the lineup for the Thunderbolts team, and by God, it was not the team I expected.
Yeah, and is it fair to say that a lot of the team kind of feels homogenized? Like they're kind of covering, like, multiple characters are kind of covering the same thing?
Do you mean like, Super Spy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Super Spy. Yeah, pretty much.
We've got 3 super soldiers, 3 super spies, and Ghost.
Yeah, like the Taskmaster thing is she's there. If it's her, if it's the same Taskmaster, but like no one liked that Taskmaster. I don't think anyone came away saying I've been a Taskmaster fan since I was in diapers and this is great. You know?
Yeah, no, I think it was a podcast with you. I think I mentioned I hated the Black Widow version of Taskmaster. It was my least favorite part of that movie.
Yeah,
and
Black Widow movie in general. Again, I'm not going to shout on too much because I found it generally entertaining enough, but it did kind of feel like this movie came out too late, and now would probably make up about 3 episodes of a Disney Marvel show.
Yeah,
you know.
I would have preferred a Yelena show to Black Widow.
Yeah, she was great. I liked her.
Ghost is an interesting addition. It's an addition I didn't think of that actually works really well. I also think I can't remember his character's name. It was like Red Star or something.
Oh yeah. Captain America Russia.
Russian Captain Russia.
Yeah.
He was probably my favorite part of the Black Widow movie.
We love the actor, you know.
I love the actor. I'm happy to see him back. In the MCU.
Yeah, but Kevin, it's not so much as who is there. It's more about who the fuck isn't there, because there's 2.
So many people, I feel.
But I think there's 2 for definite.
2 for definite. I know one who you're about to say is Abomination.
Yes.
Where the fuck is Abomination?
Where the fuck is Abomination? Some people suggested this is actually maybe where Red Hulk comes from. That now that he's been released, Abomination's been released from prison, but he can't join in because of the inhibitor and all that kind of stuff. Red Hulk might be made as an alternative. And I mean, they are trying to get Jen's blood.
True.
You know, so
It's possible.
I think it's actually probably a high likelihood, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And then what's his name? Prismo.
Prismo?
Not Prismo. That's he was in Winter Soldier and Bucky Captain America. The bad dude from Age of Ultron.
Ultron?
No.
Oh, Claw?
No, Civil War. Sorry, Civil War.
From bad guy. Oh, Zemo.
Zemo. That's
Zemo. Yes.
Not,
okay.
Yeah, not Prismo.
Fucking hell. I was so confused. Zemo not being here is really weird.
Yeah,
but
because
at the same
he's been
time,
loved. Like in general, people enjoy his character now.
at the same time, I could see him being one of two things. Either him not being here is because there is 4 super soldiers on this team, depending on if you count Ghost, it's 5.
Yeah.
So he hates super soldiers with a fucking passion. So him being on the team would be immediately like it'd be like having an edgy rogue in a D&D party who sits in the corner.
Yeah, I say that's fair enough. But what I think they might do with him is that he's in more of a managerial position. And this is where hypocrisy comes from. Like, you know, he might not be. He is a bad guy, and that's usually where bad guys originate from. That they want to do good things, but they're willing to do what the people they disagree with do to get the power. Say, oh, look, it's the the road to hell is built with good intentions. So I could see him trying to control a team like that. I mean, Amanda Waller Amanda Waller isn't a fan of the Suicide Squad.
But she runs them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could also see him as the antagonist, or as an antagonist to them.
Yeah.
Which could also be an angle for them to go for. I feel like he's been less overtly an antagonist for the MCU since Civil War, and even then, I don't think he was overtly the antagonist of Civil War.
No, he was the guy who sparked. He made it clear himself, like he didn't have to do that much.
Yeah, he was the instigator. But he wasn't the antagonist.
Yeah.
But yeah, this team is a bit weird. I'm not sure what to feel about it.
I'm a bit bored with it, to be honest with you. It looks like a few I like, team.
But it looks like a boring team. I think Yelena, Captain Russia, and Ghost are pretty good. U.S. Agent too. Those are like the 4 that I like.
And
Bucky being on this team makes no fucking sense.
But this is why I think it's like a Suicide Squad thing, because Bucky is the soldier dude in the Suicide Squad. He is.
Yeah, but he makes no fucking sense on this team. U.S. Agent should be filling that role.
Yeah.
But Bucky on this team is so fucking out of nowhere. Taskmaster, I get from like a narrative standpoint.
Do you think it's going to be that Taskmaster though? I don't think so. I think they're going to reinvent Taskmaster.
Honestly, when they showed this poster and I looked at it, my first reaction to seeing Taskmaster was, she's still alive?
Yeah.
I thought she died at the end.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, Kevin. I don't remember anything that happened with her at the end. I remember there was a thing, lots of things falling from the sky. There's a lot of sadness about, we were treated badly and now we're stuck like this and things are bad. And then I was like, yeah, family, high five. And then time passed. Black Widow's dead. Oh, I must kill Hawkeye. That's about it.
We must set up the finale of the Hawkeye show.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, is there like any explicit reason why this entire team isn't just ex-Black Widows?
Yeah, I mean, they would seem to be the better option, to be honest.
You'd have as much team variety.
Yeah. Yeah. Ghost is probably the biggest variety, I think.
Ghost, like, I don't think in any other team Ghost would have been the most interesting, but Ghost is the most interesting on this team.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see her come back. She wasn't exactly comedic in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
No.
But like in a less comedic setting, be interesting to see her character come back. So I think we talked a lot about Thunderbolts. What else did they announce? Yeah, not really announce, but they mentioned Armor Wars.
Yes, and it is still coming. It is still coming.
I feel like I'm being drip fed.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I want.
Yeah.
Oh god, I so want Armor Wars because I really want I just really want Armor Wars. They said we're getting you an Armor Wars show, and I'm like, yes, and they haven't told me anything.
Talk about Armor Wars, though, right? We see our buddy from Armor Wars in Secret Invasion. And,
yes, he's in there.
And he's not like just a soldier anymore, from what appears, because he's very much dressed up like a senator.
It's really weird. I wasn't 100% sure what they're doing with him in that.
But if you think about, like, he has a little American flag on his lapel. He has security around him.
He might be running for a position.
Maybe, yeah.
Because I do think that politics is probably going to play a role in the thing, because Skrulls can invade. That said, if a Skrull was engaging in like politics, why don't you just assassinate the guy after he's been elected and then change into him?
Well, some people suggesting maybe Rhodey has been taken out some time ago.
That would make Armor Wars a bummer.
It might. Or maybe we'll find out about what happened with Rhodey. Maybe Armor Wars coming out after Secret Invasion, and the Rhodey we know is actually back at that stage.
I mean, it's the MCU.
I mean, to be fair, maybe the Skrull was really bad, so that makes canon in Iron Man 1 that Rhodey looks completely different to Rhodey in Iron Man 2.
Like, and no one noticed.
Yeah, it's like, I'm Rhodey. And they're like, I don't want to be racist, but is he the same? Yay, Rhodey!
So yeah, I mean, it's weird that they got him to come out and talk about Secret Invasion instead of like anyone else.
Yeah.
And then they're also like, "You're also in Armor Wars," and he's like, "Yeah," and then they moved on.
Yeah.
What else did they talked a bit about Black Panther, but I don't really think it's much worth talking about that since that's coming out in like 2 months or something.
From what I hear, it's meant to be really a love letter to Chadwick, which is good to hear.
That's nice. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. What else did they talk about? Because I'm just rapid firing through shit now. They talked a little bit about the next Captain America movie, which I can't remember. It's like Captain America and the Secret Society or something.
It's gonna deal again, like kind of what the TV show dealt with, the fallout from the blip and who's trying to take over or control where, you know.
Yeah. So it's going to have our new Captain America plus a new Falcon. And that guy who was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier who got the wings and was a really minor character. Sorry.
Yeah, he's. Yeah, I mean, look. To be fair, whatever. Like, he might be a great.
He might be. We just don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
So he's going to be in it. We also found out that the leader's going to be in it, and there was a few other God, I really tried to get his name at the end, but the Patriot guy, he's going to be in it. The Super Soldier, he's going to be in it too. So they have more stuff. They didn't show any like concept art or anything. I don't think it would have been nice.
Yeah,
I think you should show some concept art when you're doing stuff like this. But...
honestly, I'd love to see concept art, even if the final thing isn't going to be the same. I just love to see what people are thinking and
I want to see the ideas. I want to see the ideas. Am I forgetting anything? Because I shot through a lot there.
It's everything I remember anyway.
Is there any? Oh, they talked a bit about the Marvels, and that's it.
Yeah. The Marvels are going to come together. That's what I heard.
Yeah. There's to be fair, a lot of these were just a big title card. Some people walk on screen and go like, "We're in this," and then they leave.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say they weren't too happy with how it was run in general. Like, there seemed to be it seemed to have been too stretched out for what was given out. You know.
Yeah, like I said, they drip fed.
Yeah.
I don't think there was much else announced. I'm literally opening the Marvel account on YouTube to see what they uploaded at the time. They talked a little bit about a bunch of movies.
We could probably leave it at that, Kevin.
I
think that's plenty.
Much like Marvel did, we stretched this episode out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the holiday special has apparently been treated like an epilogue, or an epilogue, whichever way you want to call it, of Phase 4. So I'd say there'll probably be a few clues there if you want to watch it, to what's coming as well. You know, the vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it.
What movie is counting as the Phase 4's ending then?
I'm not sure.
I guess Wakanda Forever?
Maybe.
It's actually it's really weird to not have an Avengers movie be the end of a phase.
Yeah, yeah. But look, isn't it like technically at the moment the Avengers are disbanded?
Yeah.
To be fair, they've kind of been disbanded since like end of Phase 2, beginning of Phase 3.
It's
you know?
it's actually really in universe. It's unclear because like a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're in the Avengers."
Yeah.
Which are the Avengers disbanded or not?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I guess because when Tony and Cap broke up, like Tony kind of kept on, like he kept the Avengers going, but within Shield, like they had an Avengers base and all this kind of stuff. But that's destroyed now as well because that's where the big battle occurred against Thanos.
There's no Avengers house unless they go to the other coast.
Yeah, West Coast Avengers.
Squirrel Girl. Actually, she's like fucking Mountain Avengers or something, isn't she?
No, doesn't she like live in New York? In like.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of which Avengers team she was on.
I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, look, I think we'll leave it at that.
Yep, that's it. Great Lakes Avengers. But yeah, that'll leave us there. This episode, I think I said it best at the start. This episode was pretty mid. It was so mid, we started talking about other Marvel properties instead.
And shoes for like 10 minutes.
That was honestly most of this episode. We didn't even get an end credit scene.
I don't think I've ever spoken about shoes for 10 minutes.
Well, now you have.
Yeah, fair enough.
Welcome to the world of shoes.
Well, we'll leave it at that then. Folks, we'll get more on time for next week.
Hopefully, yes.
Yes, I'll try and keep an eye on the clock next time. And I hope you're all well. And Kevin and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Asherlo. It's a big rant.